Captain stood before the massive doors of the Galactic Council chamber and took a deep breath. Behind him, Ambassador Nu adjusted her formal uniform one last time. This was the moment humanity had dreamed about for generations. First contact had happened 3 months ago, and now Earth would finally join the vast community civilizations that stretched across the stars. The doors opened with a sound like thunder. Inside, the chamber was enormous. Thousands of beings from hundreds of worlds sat in curved rows that rose up like a stadium. Some looked almost human. Others were so strange that had to force himself not to stare. There were creatures made of living crystal, beings that floated in tanks of glowing liquid, and things that looked like walking trees. At the center of it all sat the Arbiter, a being called. He looked like a massive insect, with 4 arms and eyes that seemed to see everything at once. His voice echoed through the chamber without him moving his mouth. "Humanity of Earth," said, "you stand before the Galactic Council to request membership. We have reviewed your petition. We have studied your world. Now we will judge if you are worthy." Felt his heart race, but he kept his face calm. He had practiced this speech 1,000 times. "Honored Arbiter, honored Council members, we come in peace and friendship. Earth may be young in the eyes of the galaxy, but we are eager to learn. We bring our creativity, our determination, and our dreams of a better future." Engineer Wu Jin stepped forward with a holographic display. He showed the Council Earth's achievements: medicine that could cure diseases, art that captured the beauty of the human spirit, technology that let them reach for the stars. He spoke with pride about how humanity had overcome its divisions to finally unite as one species. But as Wu Jin spoke, noticed something. Many of the council members were not impressed. Some looked bored. Others whispered to each other and pointed at the humans with what seemed like amusement. The trials began the next day. Council representatives came to Earth to see humanities for themselves. They visited the great cities where millions of people lived together. They toured the museums and libraries. They met with leaders and ordinary citizens alike. Admiral Haywon had warned that this might not go well. "They're looking for reasons to reject us," she had said. "I can feel it," had disagreed then. Now, watching the council representatives, he was not so sure. The representatives found everything they needed to condemn humanity. They discovered records of Earth's bloody history, the world wars that had killed millions, the weapons of mass destruction that still existed in sealed vaults, the countless conflicts between nations, religions, and ideologies that had the planet. One representative, a being made of blue energy, spoke to with obvious disgust. "You wage war on yourselves. You create weapons designed to destroy your own kind. You poison your planet and then fight over the remains. And you think you are ready to join us." "Those are our past mistakes," said desperately. "We learned from them. We grew beyond them. Isn't that what matters?" The being simply floated away without answering. Ambassador Nu tried a different approach. She met with individual council members in private, offering trade agreements and cultural exchanges. She emphasized how humans could bring fresh perspectives to old problems. But one by one, the delegates politely declined her offers. Only one species seemed interested in humanity. The Owl were a small civilization, not powerful in council politics. Their delegate, an elderly being with kind eyes, met with Nu several times. "I see potential in your people," the Owl said. "You have the fire of survivors. That is rare and precious." But the Owl were only one voice among thousands. The final vote came 3 weeks after the trials ended. The council chamber was packed. Every seat was filled, and the air hummed with anticipation. And his team stood in the center, waiting for the judgment. Rose from his seat, his voice carried across the silent chamber. "We have deliberated on the matter of humanity's membership in the Galactic Council. We have considered their achievements and their failures. We have weighed their potential against their dangers." He paused and felt time slow down. "The Council has voted. 846 species vote to reject Earth's membership. One species votes in favor. The petition is. The words hit like a physical blow. Around him, his team stood frozen in shock. In the audience, a few beings made sounds that might have been approval. Most simply looked satisfied. Continued. Furthermore, humanity is forbidden from expanding beyond their solar system for 500 years. This restriction will give your species time to mature and overcome your violent nature. Perhaps then you will be ready to join civilized society. No, heard himself say. No, you can't do this. It is done, Captain said. His tone was not cruel, but it was absolutely final. You are too dangerous. Your history proves this. The galaxy does not need another predator species spreading violence among the stars. Stepped forward. His hands were shaking, but his voice was steady. You judge us for our wars, but have you forgotten your own? Every species here has blood in their past. The difference is that we admit it. We face our darkness and try to be better. That's what makes us worthy, not our perfection, but our constant effort to improve. For a moment the chamber was silent. Some council members looked uncomfortable, but its expression did not change. Your words are noted, Captain. The decision stands. You may return to Earth. The OWL delegate stood up, his voice shaking with emotion. This is wrong. These humans have more courage and honesty than half the species in this chamber. They deserve a chance. But other council members shouted him down. Within seconds, his voice was lost in the noise. As security escorted the human delegation out, Ambassador No walked beside. Her face was calm, but her eyes burned with something cold and hard. At the doorway, she stopped and looked back at the council one last time. We will remember this day, she said quietly, though somehow her voice carried across the chamber. Every single one of us will remember. Outside the council building, under alien stars, the human team stood together in silence. They had come so far, hoped so much, and offered everything they had, and it had not been enough. What do we do now? Wujin asked. Admiral Haewon answered before anyone else could. Now we go home, we close our doors, and we make sure that the next time the galaxy sees us, they understand the mistake they made today. Looked up at the stars, at the vast galaxy that had rejected his species. Somewhere in his heart, his hope had died, but something else was being born to replace it, something harder and stronger. Yes, he said, let's go home. The day after Earth's rejection, something changed in humanity. It was not a loud change with speeches and protests. It was quiet, like a door closing softly but firmly. Director Jinho stood before the United Earth Assembly and made a simple announcement. The galaxy has made its decision. Now we make ours. From this moment, Earth speaks to no one beyond our solar system. We answer no calls. We send no messages. Let them wonder what we are doing in our silence. No one argued. No one voted against it. The great silence began. At first, the galaxy barely noticed. Council ships still passed through nearby space, their sensors scanning Earth's system with casual interest. They expected humanity to keep begging for membership, to keep proving themselves worthy. But the expected transmissions never came. Earth's communications arrays went dark. The planet that had been so eager to talk suddenly had nothing to say. Some council members found this amusing. They are sulking like children, said when asked about it. They will come back when they are ready to behave properly. But Ambassador Na, now elderly and serving as an advisor to Earth's government, smiled when she heard this. Let them think what they wish, she told the young leaders around her. We have work to do. And humanity worked. Dr. Salby had been a junior physicist during the rejection. Now, 10 years later, she stood in a laboratory deep beneath the surface of Mars and watched her life's work come alive. The device before her looked simple, just a ring of exotic matter suspended in a magnetic field. But when she activated it, space itself twisted. It works, she whispered, tears streaming down her face. The fold drive actually works. Traditional faster-than-light travel used hyperspace lanes, the paths that all Council ships followed. But Sol B's invention was different. It folded space itself, creating shortcuts that existed outside the normal dimensions. Ships using fold drives would not leave traces that Council sensors could detect. More importantly, they could reach places the hyperspace lanes did not go. Earth's expansion began in secret. Not the loud, proud expansion of a Council species, but the quiet spread of a civilization that had learned to move in the shadows. Captain Ira was one of the first to volunteer for the exploration missions. Her ship, the Silent Wing, slipped out of the solar system using the new fold drive. For 3 months, she mapped star systems that the Council had never bothered to survey. When she returned, her data changed everything. "There are thousands of habitable worlds out there," she told the Assembly. "Worlds the Council ignores because they're not on the convenient routes, worlds that could be ours." General Binwu, now leading Earth's military forces, understood the opportunity. "We can build an empire in the spaces between their territories. They will never know until we are too strong to challenge." But Jinho shook his head. "Not an empire. Colonies, yes, defense, absolutely. But we do not become conquerors. That would prove them right about us." So humanity expanded carefully. Small ships carrying colonists slipped through the dark spaces of the galaxy. On distant worlds, human settlements took root. Each colony was self-sufficient, built to survive even if Earth fell. Each had its own factories, farms, and defenses. On Earth itself, the changes were even more dramatic. Engineer Wu Jin, old but still brilliant, oversaw the construction of projects that would have seemed impossible decades before. The orbital ring circled Earth at the equator, a massive structure that made launching into space as simple as taking an elevator. The solar collectors around the sun gathered energy that powered the entire system. Cities rose on Mars, Europa, and Titan. The asteroid belt became a vast industrial complex, churning out ships and equipment at a pace that would have shocked the Council. But the most important changes were not physical. They were in how humanity thought about itself. A new generation grew up knowing nothing but the rejection. Children learned in school about the day the galaxy said no. They learned about words, about the Council's contempt, about the barriers placed around their species. And they learned one lesson above all: humanity stood alone. "Never forget that we offered them friendship and they gave us exile," teachers said. "Never forget that we must rely on ourselves." Some worried this would make humanity bitter and cruel. Ambassador Null worried about it too in her final years. But she also saw something else growing. Humans were not becoming hateful. They were becoming determined. "We are not angry at the galaxy," a young student told her during a visit to a school. "We are disappointed in them, but that just means we have to be better than they expected." Nu smiled at that. It was exactly the attitude she had hoped for. Technology advanced at a pace that shocked even humanity's own scientists. With all of Earth's resources and minds focused on common goals, breakthroughs came rapidly. Bioneural networks that merged organic and synthetic thinking. Quantum computers that could solve problems traditional computers would need centuries to crack. Nano-construction systems that could build anything from raw materials. And weapons. Though Jinho insisted they were for defense only, General Binwu made sure humanity would never be helpless again. The shipyards of the outer system produced vessels unlike anything the Council used. They were smaller, faster, and used technology the galaxy had never seen. The silent ships, as they were called, could hide from sensors so advanced that even their own crews sometimes could not find sister ships in exercises. "If they ever come for us," Binwu said, "they will regret it." 25 years into the Great Silence, a Council exploration ship stumbled into a human-controlled system by accident. The captain, a being from a species called the, sent a standard greeting. When no answer came, they scanned the system more carefully. What they found confused them. There were structures in orbit around the planets, massive structures, but their sensors could barely detect them, and what they did detect made no sense according to Council physics. The captain tried to investigate more closely. Immediately, 3 ships appeared around his vessel. They had not been there a second before, at least not according to his sensors. They were sleek and dark and absolutely silent. A message came through, audio only. The voice was human and female. "You have entered restricted space. Leave immediately. You will not be warned again." The captain, no fool, left. When he reported what he had seen to the council, they dismissed it as sensor errors. Humans were supposed to be contained in their solar system. The idea that they had advanced technology and secret colonies was impossible. But the captain knew what he had seen, and so did Ambassador when she heard the report. She was very old now, her health failing, but she smiled as she sat in her room on Earth, looking out at the orbital structures that glittered in the sky. Young leaders came to visit her, seeking her wisdom for the challenges ahead. "Do you think they will ever realize what they created?" one asked. "Do you think they will understand that their rejection made us stronger?" Na took a long moment to answer. Outside, ships came and went in their thousands, moving between Earth and the stars that the Council thought were still beyond humanity's reach. "They will come back someday," she said finally. "The galaxy always needs something, and when they come asking for help, we will have a choice to make." "What choice?" the young leader asked. "Whether to be like them or better than them." Na closed her eyes, tired but content. "I will not live to see that day, but you will. When it comes, remember this. We grew strong in isolation, but strength without wisdom is just cruelty. Do not let their mistake become ours." She died 3 days later, surrounded by the leaders who would shape humanity's future. Her funeral was broadcast across all human worlds, from Earth to the secret colonies at the galaxy's edge. Billions watched as they laid her to rest under the sky she had dedicated her life to reaching. In the council chambers, very far away, heard about the human ambassador's death. He felt nothing particular about it. Humans were still a restricted species, still too primitive to matter. He had more important concerns than the fate of one aged diplomat from a quarantined world. It never occurred to him that he had just missed his last chance to understand what humanity was becoming. 100 years after the rejection, the galaxy learned what true fear felt like. It started at the edge of explored space. A colony world called a stopped transmitting. This was not unusual. Technical failures happened. Council investigators were sent to check on the problem. They never reported back. A week later, a nearby military outpost went silent. Then an entire system. Then 3 more. President of Earth heard about it from Intelligence Officer 1, who ran humanity's secret monitoring network. Despite the great silence, Earth had never stopped watching the galaxy. They had sensors hidden in deep space, listening posts in empty systems, and sources within Council territories who never knew they were being observed. "Something is eating the galaxy," one said, spreading holographic images across the conference table. "It moves like a wave, consuming everything in its path. The Council is calling it the consuming silence." Studied the images. She was young for a president, only 40, but she had been raised on stories of the rejection. She had never known a time when humanity was not alone. What exactly is it? Scientist Na, Earth's leading, answered. Based on the data one intercepted, it appears to be a swarm. Billions of small machines that break down matter and replicate themselves. They consume planets, ships, and stations. Everything. The Council has never seen anything like it. "How is the Council responding?" asked. "Badly," one said with grim satisfaction. "They are sending their fleets to fight it, but their tactics are not working. The swarm adapts faster than they can change strategy. They have lost hundreds of ships and thousands of worlds in just 3 months." Fleet Admiral humanity's military commander, leaned forward. How long until it reaches human space? If it continues at its current pace, 5 years, maybe less. The room fell silent. Humanity had grown strong in its century of isolation, but even they could not fight an enemy that had destroyed half the Council's forces. Not alone. They will ask us for help, said quietly. Yes, De agreed. The question is what we tell them. The request came 2 weeks later. A council delegation arrived at the edge of Earth's solar system. They did not try to enter. That would have been suicide. Humanity's defense grid would have destroyed them before they crossed the orbit of Neptune. Instead, they sent a message on the old diplomatic channels, the same channels Earth had used to beg for membership a century ago. To the government of Earth, the Galactic Council requests urgent negotiations regarding a matter of mutual survival. We await your response. Made them wait 3 days before answering. When she did, her message was cold and brief. You may send 5 delegates to Earth. They will be met at Luna Station and transported under guard to our capital. They will have 1 hour to make their case. The delegation that arrived was led by Arbiter Ox, successor. He was of the same species as his predecessor, but where had been arrogant, Ox looked desperate. They were brought to a council chamber that had been built specifically for this moment. It was a perfect copy of the Galactic Council chamber where humanity had been rejected, but smaller. The message was clear. You judged us in your house, now we judge you in ours. Sat where Ox would have sat in the council chambers. Around her sat Earth's leaders, representatives of the colony worlds and military commanders, all human, all remembering. Arbiter Ox said when the delegates entered, "State your business." If Ox felt insulted by her tone, he did not show it. "President, I come to ask for Earth's help. The galaxy faces extinction. The consuming silence has destroyed 800 civilizations. Billions are dead. Trillions more will die if we cannot stop it." "We are aware of your crisis," said. "We have been monitoring it. Continue." Ox seemed surprised that Earth knew so much, but he pushed forward. "Our forces cannot defeat this enemy. We have tried every tactic, every weapon. Nothing works. But our researchers believe you might have the key to victory." "And why would you think that?" One of the other delegates, a owl scientist, spoke up. Her species had been nearly destroyed by the swarm. "Because you were trained in warfare in ways we were not. We spent 10,000 years growing soft and peaceful. You spent your entire history learning to fight. Your violent nature, the thing we condemned you for, is exactly what we need now." The words hung in the air. Admiral D actually laughed, a short, bitter sound. Other human leaders shifted in their seats, their expressions hard. "So now our violent nature is valuable," said. "How interesting. What exactly are you offering for this help?" "Full membership in the council," Ox said quickly. "Immediate acceptance with no restrictions. Access to all council technology and knowledge. Representation in all governing bodies. Whatever you want, we will give it." "Whatever we want," repeated. She stood up and walked to a window that looked out over Earth's capital. The city below was beautiful, filled with towers that reached for the sky and parks where children played. A city built by people who had been told they were too violent to be trusted. "100 years ago," she said, "my great-great-grandmother stood before your council and begged for partnership. She offered friendship, cooperation, and hope. Do you know what you gave her in return?" "We made a mistake," Ox said quietly. "We know that now." Turned to face him. "A mistake. That is what you call it. You imprisoned an entire species in their own solar system for 5 centuries because you were afraid of us. You looked at our worst moments and decided we had no value. And now, when you are dying, you suddenly remember we exist." She walked back to her seat and sat down. "Let me show you something, Arbiter." The holographic displays activated. They showed human cities on Earth, Mars, and dozens of other worlds. They showed the massive orbital structures and shipyards. They showed fleets of advanced ships, millions of them, sleek and deadly. They showed technology the Council had never imagined. "This is what we built while you ignored us," said. "This is what we became in our isolation. We are not the desperate species that begged for your approval. We are something you never expected us to become." "We are strong," she continued. "We are advanced, we are ready, and most importantly, we learn to stand alone." Ox's eyes widened as he saw the scope of human expansion. "You broke the restriction. You left your solar system." "We did," said without apology. "Did you really think we would obey rules made by people who treated us like children? We have 200 colony worlds, Arbiter. 200 worlds you never knew about because you never bothered to look." "Then you can help us," Ox said desperately. "You have the ships, the weapons, the knowledge. Please, billions will die if you do not act." Leaned back in her chair. Around her, every human leader watched the council delegates with cold eyes. This was the moment they had imagined for a century. The moment when the galaxy would finally understand its mistake. "A century ago, we needed partners," said. "We needed cooperation and friendship. We needed to be part of something larger than ourselves. You gave us isolation and contempt. You taught us that the galaxy could not be trusted. Now you come to us in your moment of crisis, offering everything you us before. Do you know what that teaches us, Arbiter? It teaches us that you only value us when you need us, that your acceptance is conditional on our usefulness." "That is not," Ox began but cut him off. "We have made our choice," she said. Her voice was firm and final. "Earth will not help the Council. We will defend our own systems, protect our own people, and survive as we have always done. Alone." "But billions will die," the owl scientist cried out. "Billions died in Earth's wars too," Admiral De said coldly. "But that did not stop you from judging us unworthy." Stood signaling the meeting was over. "You may return to the Council and tell them Earth's answer. We wish you luck in your fight, but we fight our own battles now." The delegates were escorted out. As they left, the owl scientist turned back. "We voted for you," she said, tears in her eyes. "My people voted to accept humanity. We lost everything because we stood up for you, and now you abandon us in return." For the first time, his expression softened slightly. "I am sorry for what happened to your people, but I cannot save the galaxy to ease my conscience. I have to think of humanity first." After they were gone, the human leaders sat in silence. Outside, Earth's defense grid activated fully. Massive weapon platforms powered up. Shield generators created barriers around every human world. Humanity prepared to stand alone against whatever was coming. "Did we make the right choice?" someone asked. Looked out at the stars, at the galaxy that had rejected them and now needed them. "History will tell us," she said. "But right now, I choose Earth." The galaxy burned, and humanity watched it happen. In the 5 years after Earth refused to help, half of known civilization collapsed. The consuming silence moved like a plague, spreading faster than anyone had predicted. Entire sectors went dark. Refugee ships fled in all directions, carrying survivors who had lost everything. Captain Ah commanded a patrol ship on the border of human space. She was 26 years old and had never lived in a galaxy where Earth was not isolated. Every day, she watched her sensors as the wave of destruction came closer. Every day, she saw more refugee ships fleeing toward human territory. And every day, her orders were the same: turn them away. "Another group approaching," her sensor officer reported. 43 ships, mixed civilian craft. They are broadcasting distress on all channels." Ah activated the communication system. She had given this message so many times that it felt like reading from a script. "Attention, refugee vessels. You are approaching human restricted space. Turn back immediately or you will be destroyed." The lead refugee ship responded. The voice was tired and desperate. "Please, we have children on these ships, families. We have nowhere else to go. The swarm is 3 days behind us." "I cannot allow you to pass," Ah said, though her chest felt tight. "Turn back." Turn back to what? There is nothing behind us except death. Please show mercy. Ah closed the channel. Her hands were shaking. She had turned away hundreds of refugee groups in the past month. Each time was harder than the last. Captain, her first officer asked quietly, "What are your orders?" Before Ah could answer, alarms blared. A ship was breaking off from the refugee group, badly damaged and trailing atmosphere. It was tumbling out of control, heading directly into human space. "It is going to crash," the sensor officer said. "Estimated impact on Colony 7's moon in 20 minutes." Colony 7 was one of humanity's secret worlds, home to 3 million people. If that ship crashed there, it might expose the colony's location to anyone tracking the refugees. Ah made a decision. "Intercept course. We are going to grab that ship and stabilize it." "Captain, regulations say." "I know what the regulations say," Ah snapped. "I also know that ship has people on it who are about to die. Move." Her crew obeyed. The patrol ship caught up with the tumbling vessel and used a tractor beam to stop its spin. Up close, Ah could see the damage. Weapons fire had torn through the hull. The ship was AL in design, she realized. The same species that had voted for humanity a century ago. "Life signs?" she asked. 7 all week. The ship's life support is failing." Ah did not hesitate. "Bring them aboard." 20 minutes later, 7 survivors were in her medical bay. Most were unconscious. Only one was awake, an elderly AL female whose name was. She looked at Ah with eyes that had seen too much horror. "You are human," said weakly. "I am Captain Ah of the Earth Defense Force. You are safe now." "Safe?" repeated. She laughed, a broken sound. "Nowhere is safe. The swarm is everywhere. It took my world, my family, my entire civilization. We are the last of the AL, 7 survivors from a species of billions." Ah felt something break inside her. "I am sorry." "Are you?" asked. "My grandmother voted for Earth to join the Council. She fought for you when everyone else wanted you gone. The Council punished us for it. They took away our trade privileges, our voting rights. We became outcasts for defending you, and when the swarm came, no one helped us." She coughed and blood appeared on her lips. The medical equipment beeped warnings. "Now Earth has the power to help and you choose not to. I do not blame you. The galaxy made you like this. Cold, alone, unwilling to trust." "That is not," I started but interrupted. "There is data in our ship's computer. Everything we learned about the swarm before our science stations were destroyed. The swarm is not natural. It is a weapon, built by an ancient civilization to fight a war that ended millions of years ago. Someone reactivated it." She grabbed Ah's hand with surprising strength. "The only way to stop it is to reach the central nexus where the swarm coordinates its actions, but no one can get close. The Council has tried 8 times, 8 fleets sent to destroy the nexus, all destroyed." "Why are you telling me this?" Ah asked. "Because you are our last hope, all of us, human or not." His grip weakened. "My grandmother believed humanity had something special, a fire that the rest of us lost. Maybe she was right, maybe she was wrong, but if there is any chance—" She did not finish. The medical equipment's alarm became a steady tone, was dead. Ah stood there for a long time, looking at the body of a being whose species had tried to help Earth and paid the price. Around her, the medical staff worked to save the other survivors. All of them were dying too. The damage was too severe. "Captain," her communications officer called. "Command is on the line. They want to know why we brought refugees aboard." Ah took a deep breath. "Tell them we had no choice, and tell them I need to speak with Earth leadership immediately. I have information about the swarm they need to see." The video conference with President happened 8 hours later. Ah transmitted everything from the AL ship's computer. Data about the swarm's nature, its weaknesses, and the location of the central nexus. "This changes things," said after reviewing the data. "Does it?" asked Elder Sung-min, who had joined the conference. He was the oldest member of Earth's Leadership Council, a philosopher and historian who had dedicated his life to understanding what it meant to be human. "We know how to stop it now," said. "We could end this." "We could," Sung-min agreed. "But should we? The galaxy rejected us. Let them face the consequences." "With respect, Elder," Ah said, "I have watched thousands of ships flee past our borders in the last month. I have seen children who will never know there. I have watched species go extinct. At what point does our justified anger become cruelty?" "They were cruel to us first," someone said. "Yes," Ah agreed. "And if we respond with equal cruelty, how are we different from them?" Across human space, similar conversations were happening. Colonists on border worlds sheltered refugees in secret, hiding them from patrol ships. Officers like Ah found excuses to rescue damaged vessels. Information about the swarm's true nature spread among Earth's population. A massive debate erupted. On one side, those who remembered the rejection and believed Earth owed the galaxy nothing. On the other, those who believed humanity had to be better than the worst things done to them. "They judged us by our darkest moments," one senator argued. "Should we not judge ourselves by ours? This is our darkest moment." "They made us what we are," another countered. "They created this isolation. They taught us to stand alone." Elder Sung-min listened to all sides. He thought about Ambassador Nung and her final words. He thought about the owl who had voted for humanity and paid with their civilization. He thought about what it meant to be human. Finally, he requested to address Earth's population directly. Billions watched as the old man appeared on every screen in human space. "My friends," he said, "we face a choice that will define who we are forever, not as the species the Council judged us to be, but as the species we choose to become. Yes, we were rejected. Yes, we were wronged. But I must ask, did we spend a century growing strong just to prove we could be as petty as those who hurt us? Did we survive isolation to become exactly what they feared we were?" He paused, letting the question sink in. "The Council judged us by our worst moments. Wars, violence, destruction. They looked at our darkest history and decided it defined us. Now we must decide, will we judge ourselves the same way? Will we let our pain and anger define who we are? Or will we show them what they could never understand? That humanity's greatest strength is not our weapons or our ships. It is our capacity to be better than the worst things done to us." The broadcast ended. For days, humanity debated. The arguments grew heated. Some threatened to rebel if Earth chose to help the galaxy. Others threatened to rebel if Earth did not. President sat in her office, watching reports of a council fleet making one more desperate attempt to reach the swarm's nexus. They were destroyed in 12 minutes, 20,000 beings dead. Another failure. Her communication panel beeped. It was Ambassador Young, the granddaughter of the captain who had stood before the council a century ago. "President," Young said, "I found something in my grandfather's personal files. A message he recorded the night we returned from the rejection. He never sent it, but I think you should see it." The hologram showed Captain Younger, but already marked by the pain of rejection. He spoke directly to the camera. "To whoever leads Earth when the galaxy finally understands its mistake, I am angry today. I am hurt. I want them to suffer as we have suffered, but I also remember why we went to them in the first place. We went because we believed in something better. We believed in cooperation, in building bridges, in finding common ground." He paused, choosing his words carefully. "Whatever you decide, make them regret the rejection, but never regret being human. Never let their mistake turn us into the monsters they feared. Be better. Always be better." The message ended, sat in silence for a long moment. Then she activated her communication system and began recording a message that would go out to every human world, every colony, every ship. "People of Earth," she said, "it is time to choose. President's broadcast went out across all of human space. It was short, direct, and changed everything. "We were rejected for our capacity for violence," she said, looking directly into the camera. "We were called too dangerous, too warlike, too primitive. The galaxy feared what we might become. Today, we show them they were right to fear us, but they were wrong about why." She stood, and behind her, the holographic display showed Earth's massive fleet preparing to move. "We do not fight because we are violent. We fight because we choose to. We do not help because we are obligated to. We help because that is who we decide to be. The galaxy will learn what it means to anger humanity, and they will learn what it means to be saved by us. All ships, all crews, all colonies, we go to war, not for the Council, not for the species that rejected us, but for the future we want to build, a future where no one faces extinction alone." Within hours, the largest human fleet ever assembled began to move. 3,000 warships emerged from hidden bases across human territory. They were sleek, dark, and carried weapons the galaxy had never seen. At their head flew the flagship Unity, with Fleet Admiral Duh in command. But Duh was not alone. President stood beside her on the bridge. If humanity was going to risk everything, their leader would be there to see it through. "All ships reporting ready," the communications officer said. "Then let us show the galaxy what they missed out on," Duh said with a fierce smile. "All ships, activate fold drives. Destination, the edge of the affected zone." The fleet vanished, folding space itself to cross distances that should have taken months. They reappeared in a system where the Council's last defensive line was collapsing. 300 Council ships fought desperately against an endless wave of the swarm's machines. The human fleet did not announce themselves. They simply opened fire. The swarm had never faced weapons like these. Human ships used quantum torpedoes that phased through shields, plasma beams that adapted faster than the swarm could evolve defenses, missiles that turned enemy machines against each other. In the first 30 seconds, human forces destroyed more swarm units than the Council had in months. The Council ships, shocked and confused, received a simple message. "This is Fleet Admiral Duh of Earth Defense Force. Hold your positions. Help has arrived." The battle lasted 6 hours. When it was over, the swarm's advance in that sector had been stopped for the first time. The Council forces were saved, and the galaxy finally understood what humanity had become. Arbiter Ox himself came to meet with the human fleet. His holographic projection appeared on Unity's bridge, and for a long moment, he simply stared at the humans in silence. "You came," he said finally. "After everything, you came." "We came," agreed. "But not because you asked. We came because it was the right thing to do." "Thank you," Ox said quietly. "Thank you." "Save your thanks," Duh interrupted. "We are not here to save you. We are here to end this threat, and we need your cooperation to do it." Over the next week, human and Council forces worked together for the first time. It was awkward and tense. Many Council species did not trust humanity. Many humans did not want to work with those who had rejected them. But necessity forced cooperation. Dr. Nuh coordinated with Council scientists to develop a weapon that could destroy the swarm's central nexus. Captain Ah led a joint task force that included ships from 7 different species, including the surviving owl refugees she had rescued. Ambassador Young negotiated operational agreements, building trust one conversation at a time. And slowly, something remarkable happened. The galaxy saw humanity not as the violent species they had feared, but as determined warriors fighting for a cause larger than themselves. They saw human ships shielding Council vessels with their own hulls. They saw human medical teams treating wounded aliens with the same care they gave their own. They saw humanity at its best. "They are not what we expected," one Council officer said after a human ship saved his crew from certain death. "No," his captain agreed, "they are better." The final assault on the swarm's nexus required a massive coordinated strike. 50,000 ships from 100 species, all working together. The largest military operation in galactic history, and leading it was Fleet Admiral De with Captain Ah as her second. The Nexus was located in a dead system at the galaxy's edge, surrounded by billions of swarm machines. It was a suicide mission, and everyone knew it, but there was no other choice. All ships, De broadcast as the combined fleet approached. In a few minutes, we will face the greatest threat our galaxy has ever known. Some of us will not survive. Many of us will not survive. But if we succeed, we give the future a chance. She paused, then smiled grimly. Humanity was told we were too violent for civilized society. Today, let us show them exactly how violent we can be when defending what matters. All ships attack. The battle was unlike anything the galaxy had seen. Ships fought and died by the thousands. The swarm adapted and evolved, learning from every attack. But humanity had learned something too. They had learned to be unpredictable. Human ships used tactics that made no logical sense. They sacrificed advantageous positions for surprise. They took insane risks that paid off more often than they should. They fought with a creativity that the swarm's programmed responses could not counter. And gradually, impossibly, they pushed forward. Dr. Nu's weapon was loaded onto a single ship piloted by Captain Ah. Her mission was simple: reach the Nexus and deploy the quantum virus that would destroy the swarm's coordination. The problem was that she had to get within 1,000 kilometers to do it. "I can get you there," her pilot said, "but I cannot get you back." "I know," Ah said calmly. "Let's go." Her ship, escorted by a dozen others, dove into the heart of the swarm. Around her, escorts exploded one by one, buying her seconds of time with their lives. Her shields failed. Her engines burned. The hull began to break apart. But she made it. In the shadow of the massive nexus, she deployed the weapon. The quantum virus spread through the swarm's network at the speed of thought. Across the galaxy, billions of machines stopped moving. They simply shut down, their coordinating intelligence destroyed in an instant. Silence fell across 1,000 battlefields. The consuming silence was ended. Ah's ship was drifting, powerless and broken. She sat in her command chair and waited for the end. Then her sensors detected something. Ships were approaching, human ships. "Captain Ah," a familiar voice said. It was Fleet Admiral De. "You did not really think we would let you die after pulling off the impossible, did you?" Tears streamed down Ah's face as rescue ships surrounded her vessel. "I thought." "You thought you would die alone. Not while I command this fleet. Not while humans stick together." The recovery took months. Entire sectors of the galaxy had to be rebuilt. Trillions were dead. But civilization would survive, and it would be different than before. In the council chambers, now with Earth taking its rightful place, Arbiter Ox addressed the assembled species. "We made a terrible mistake 100 years ago," he said. "We judged humanity by their capacity for violence and found them wanting. We did not see that their capacity for violence could be matched by their capacity for compassion. We did not understand that strength without kindness is tyranny, but kindness without strength is helplessness." He turned to President. "Earth, you had every right to let us die. Instead, you chose to save us. You lost 15% of your forces. Hundreds of thousands of your people died protecting species that once rejected you. Why?" Stood around her, the chamber fell silent. This was the moment the galaxy had been waiting for. "We did not do it for you," she said honestly. "We did it for us. Because we refuse to be defined by the worst things others do to us. Because we refuse to let your mistake become our tragedy. Because being human means choosing who we are, not letting circumstances choose for us." She looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of beings from 1,000 worlds. "You were right that we are violent. We are. We are warriors, but you were wrong about what that means. Warriors protect. Warriors stand between the innocent and the darkness. Warriors die so others can live. That is what you rejected. That is what you finally understand. From this day forward, Earth joins the Council, not as supplicants grateful for acceptance, not as conquerors who forced their way in, but as equals who earned their place through blood and sacrifice. And we bring a new philosophy to this Council. No species will ever be rejected again, not for their past, not for their nature, not for anything. Because if humanity learned anything in our century of isolation, it is that strength comes from unity, wisdom comes from diversity, and the greatest tragedy is wasting potential because of fear. The chamber erupted in approval. Species from across the galaxy recognized the truth in her words. The old council was dead. Something new was being born. Elder Sungmin, watching from Earth, smiled and whispered to himself, "Ambassador Na, you would be proud." In the years that followed, humanity became the heart of galactic reconstruction. Human technology, human courage, and human determination rebuilt what the swarm had destroyed. But more than that, human philosophy changed the galaxy. The open council replaced the old system. No species was judged unworthy. All were given chances to grow, to learn, to prove themselves. On Earth, in a garden dedicated to those who had fought and died, a memorial was built. It listed every human who had fallen in the war against the swarm. At the entrance were 3 inscriptions. The first was from Ambassador Na, "We will remember this day." The second was from Captain, "Make them regret the rejection, but never regret being human." The third was new, written by President, "They feared we would be monsters. We chose to be human instead." Captain Ah, promoted to Admiral and now commanding joint human-alien forces, stood before the memorial on its dedication day. Beside her stood the last of the AL survivors, the ones she had saved. They had become citizens of Earth, the first aliens to call a human world home. "Do you think it was worth it?" one of them asked her. "All the pain, the rejection, the sacrifice?" Ah thought about the question. She thought about her grandfather's stories of the rejection. She thought about the century of isolation. She thought about the battle where so many had died. And she thought about the galaxy they were building now together. "Yes," she said finally, "because pain does not define us. What we do with the pain defines us." The galaxy realized its biggest mistake, but more importantly, we realized our greatest strength. Not our weapons, not our technology, our choice to be better than what happened to us. She looked up at the stars, at the galaxy that humanity had helped save. A galaxy that would never again make the mistake of rejecting those who were different. That, she said softly, was worth everything.